So what do you say to a friend who is cutting? First of all, I want you to know that cutting is a behavior that people do to cope with something, and it's obviously not a very healthy coping strategy, but they've chosen to tell you. So the first thing I want you to do is feel honored that someone chose you because they saw you as empathetic and discreet and trustworthy, and they know that you wouldn't judge them. So I want you to feel that honor about yourself. Next, I want you to understand that there is no perfect thing to say, but there are things you can say. But you're sitting there and you feel like you're not doing enough. But I want you to understand how powerful and how helpful and how amazing it is to have someone just listen to you. A lot of adults, maybe parents, are giving suggestions and trying to fix it. And having someone just sit with them in their pain is actually an opportunity for a deeper human connection. So it's not a one-way conversation, what do you say? So what you want to do is you want to say, first of all, I am honored that you trust me with this information. And you can ask open-ended questions. Tell me more. How long has this been going on? How does this make you feel? Do your parents know? Those are open-ended questions. And you want the person to be able to kind of get out of their head what they have had stuck in their head. So what happens when we don't tell and we think we're being strong by keeping it all inside is that little problem starts to take up a lot of real estate in one's brain. And that's why listening is such an underrated skill. Now we also want to do empathetic listening. We want to lean forward. We want to nod. We want to show people that we're listening. We don't want to dive in and say things like, well, I knew someone, or I used to do this. That might be a conversation for later down the line, but at first you just want to hear them out. And you can repeat back some of the things they say and ask for some clarity. What do you mean by that? So, can you explain that a little more? Next, I want you to explore some of your own feelings. How has this confession made you feel? Are you feeling overwhelmed, anxious, helpless? Maybe you feel like, oh my gosh, this is such a huge problem to lay at my feet, and I don't know what to do with it. I want you to understand and feel those feelings, and I would suggest writing them down just so you know the gamut of emotions that you yourself are feeling. That will put things into perspective. None of those feelings are wrong, but it's just a good idea to start to acknowledge them so that it feels less overwhelming overall. Next thing I want you to do is ask yourself a few questions. So you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with this information. So we've already had the conversation and I've told you some things to say, but now the responsibility to follow through with some kind of action is on you. And I know you can handle this. What you can handle is treating this person because you're not qualified, right? So you're not going to fix this enormous problem, but it does indicate that there's something gravely wrong in this person's life. And they need additional help to figure out how to move away from this unhealthy coping behavior to a healthy strategy. So I want you to ask yourself some questions. Is this behavior life-threatening? What will happen if I do tell? What will happen if I don't tell? And think about the answers to that. So I would assume that you know that cutting is a dangerous behavior and it can lead to somebody's death. They could bleed, for example. They could bleed to death. And that's not something you want to happen to a friend. So the first suggestion I have is, once you've sat with this friend and you've spoken with this friend, see if they will go with you to tell someone, a trusted adult, and you figure out who that trusted adult is. It may be that this person already has a counselor that they're seeing, and their parents know about it, but perhaps the counselor or the parents don't know about this new behavior, or they don't know that the person has relapsed into this behavior again. So gently persuade that friend, I am with you as a partner, and let's go together, and let's tell your therapist or your mother or your counselor or the school counselor or whomever you choose. Now, what if they don't want to go with you and they make you swear to secrecy? That's not something you can keep to yourself, because as we've established, it's life-threatening, right? So you're going to have to take that step and tell a trusted adult about what's happening, because again, there's something that is gravely wrong in this person's life, and they need help managing to get to a healthier place. Will they be mad at you? They might, but I'd rather have a friend mad at me than dead. I hope that helps. I want you to know what a wonderful friend you are to care enough to watch this video, because it's stressing you out. And Moss Rogers from Emotionally Naked, from me to you, a big hug.